On Thursday, President Trump announced measures to eradicate
anti-Christian bias. About time, right? Anti-Christian bias.
But there's one problem. There's no evidence that that bias even exists. In fact, the only example that Trump could point to was a woman in her 70s named Paulette Harlow, who he alleged was put in jail because she was praying.
Paulette Harlow was sentenced to 2 years in prison for peacefully praying outside of a clinic, charged under an obscure law that hadn't been used in years. Exactly 2 weeks ago, it was my honor to grant Paulette and other persecuted Christians, about 23 of them, a full and unconditional pardon.
But even her former lawyer admitted that that was not true. But that hasn't stopped Harlow, who broke into a DC abortion clinic and barricaded the entrance, from becoming a darling of right-wing media and conspiracy theorists who are outraged by the prospect that an elderly woman would be thrown in jail just because she was praying to end abortions.
She's a 75-year-old elderly woman from Massachusetts with a debilitating medical condition.
People were targeted, and those stories matter, and we can't forget about them.
But that's not what happened. According to the Department of Justice, Harlow was part of a group of protesters who broke into a DC abortion clinic in October 2020. Once they got inside, they barricaded the entrance and live-streamed themselves on Facebook. Harlow was apparently carrying a duffel bag with ropes and chains inside so that the protesters could bound themselves together to prevent patients from entering the clinic. According to court documents, once police showed up, Harlow refused to cooperate with arrest and told them that they would have to use a power saw to cut a bike lock she put around her neck to attach herself to other protesters. Last May, Harlow was sentenced to 2 years in prison after she was found guilty of federal civil rights conspiracy and violating the FACE Act. That's a federal law that prevents interfering with access to reproductive health clinics. And that includes protecting access to anti-abortion crisis pregnancy centers, where mostly volunteers try to dissuade people from having abortions, often through misinformation. Now, according to her lawyer, Harlow never actually served any of her sentence in prison. Harlow denied the allegations against her at trial, even though, as the government mentioned in its court documents, there was video evidence proving the allegations against her. Trump also claimed Biden's DOJ had weaponized that law against Christians. But that's not true. Biden's DOJ also charged abortion rights protesters who targeted anti-abortion crisis pregnancy centers under that law.
When it comes to FACE Act enforcement and abortion-related violent extremism, I think one of the things that gets lost, and I appreciate the opportunity to clarify it, is that really since the Dobbs decision, actually more of our abortion-related violent extremism investigations have focused on violence against pro-life facilities, as opposed to the other way around.
Trump's DOJ, on the other hand, has already said that they will limit enforcement of that law, which reportedly has abortion clinics bracing for potentially even more violent protesters who may feel emboldened under Trump's DOJ. According to Trump, this is what anti-Christian bias in government looks like: enforcing the law against Christian activists who sometimes even violently try to prevent people from accessing legal abortion care.
We got them out of there. We got them out. They're so clean now. You know those pardons? You're so clean.
For more and to read the full story, make sure to visit motherjones.com.